Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
There's not many nights I don't think you leave the rink going, Crosby didn't give his all. Has that ever happened?
No, very, very rarely, at least. I mean, I've been now calling the games here on the radio and the TV side for a better part of 5 or 6 seasons, but I've been around the Penguins for a decade, and between pre and post game shows and everything of the ilk, and I can honestly count on one hand the amount of times where you thought that Sidney Crosby did not give the Penguins every opportunity to push forward in a game. And maybe it was more so because of the team that he was playing against than his particular effort on certain nights. But this guy is just, I hesitate to say Mount Rushmore. I hesitate to say any of those top 5 players because his career's not done yet. But when you just look at the body of work and you look at the respect that he has from his peers, that's probably what means the most, right? Like you and I, we know how special he is. Fans understand how good he is. But when you hear guys like Brad Marchand, and I saw the quote from Trocheck at the All-Star game, and we know what McKinnon thinks about him, saying this guy is the best 200-foot player in the game still. He's the guy who young players should model themselves after. To me, that gets way more merit as far as where he stands in the game than what I think or what any of us, outside of the rink think. If the guys that he's playing against still look at this guy at 36 years old and putting up 60 points and scoring 30-plus goals and saying, wow, this guy's legitimately still one of the best players, if not the best all-around player to still do it on a consistent basis, that holds a lot of clout for me.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Who is the greatest USA player of all time? And is it subjective? But I said Modano is the all-time best U.S. player. The voters are saying Kane. I threw Chelios in there ahead of Jeremy Roenick, even though Chelios is nowhere near the top 10 or 20 for points, but he's a defenseman. And then for me, it's Modano. He's the best U.S. player of all time, best hockey player, period.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
In retrospect, or to just cap that poll, the voting just ended, and Mike Modano did win the poll, thanks to you viewers as the greatest U.S.-born NHLer of all time. You're in for a very special treat today. Two treats, actually. Number one, our co-host is the Silver Fox, Kelly Remple, and the second treat is that we got him for 40 minutes. So we can bring him in here. We also have CFL NFL Alum and Houston Texans Alumni Chapter President Garrick Jones. He's thrown his hat into the ring, leading an ownership group to buy the CFL's Edmonton Elks. And we have Ben Hebert, who's coming to the Queen City for the Montana's Brier as the lead of Team Botcher, one of the wild card teams. And I'll just tell those that don't know, it's been far too long since we've had Kelly on. I don't even know how to intro you, Kelly. A man of many talents, a jack of all trades. Former employee of the Moose Jaw Warriors, Regina Pats, Bret Hart's manager, restaurateur. What am I forgetting?
Limping financial advisor. Jack of all trades, master of none. How's that?
Okay, perfect. And I got to say this, a special shout out. Here's one for you that you would appreciate, Remps. Our good friend Claude Wickenheiser texted me yesterday out of the blue. And he said, Roddy, I just discovered your show. I've been following it. It's great. Where are you? I see the palm trees. I said, I'm in Florida, Claude. He says, how long you been doing that? I said, well, 1,188 shows. This is year 5. Claude texted me, well, where the hell have I been? I'm like, I don't know.
Selling houses.
But we're glad. Yeah, I said counting your money. Yeah, but anyways. Hey, Claude, welcome back, and good to have you. Your brother Kurt's been watching for years. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan, and we'll get down to business. Did he? Yeah, there we go. Kelly, we're going to fly into the topics because I want your opinion. The viewers want your opinion. What we do here now, the opening topic of the Quick 6 is the big story. And in our purview, mine anyways, and I would like to think yours is the same, NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman is visiting Winnipeg to watch tonight's Jets game against the St. Louis Blues. The commissioner is holding a press conference with local media 2 hours before the game when he's expected to talk about the Jets' decreasing season ticket numbers and address the club's future viability. And then he'll go to ice level and talk to fans as well as answer some of their questions submitted ahead of time. I wonder if he'll be wearing a rubber suit because he could be egged. They could be throwing tomatoes at him. Gary Bettman is kind of in charge of making the NHL too expensive for Winnipeg. Sorry, it's the way that it is. And we've been talking about this since the news came down Friday. Mark Chipman, the chairman of the Jets, saying this isn't going to survive long haul, their current financial numbers. I've talked about it enough. Kelly, what's your thoughts? You must have many on how long this team will be in Winnipeg and whether that's right or not.
Well, it's not a matter of being right or wrong. It's a matter of whether or not, they're making money or not making money. And look, money talks, right? These owners, as much as they love Winnipeg or as much as they love their respective communities that they're in, the almighty buck is going to trump everything else. I mean, that's just the reality of the way that these things work. They're loyal to a certain point, but if the owner's losing money or he perceives that he could make a lot more money moving the team, that's what they're going to do. I saw an alarming stat the other day where their season ticket base has dropped off something like 20 to 30% or something like that just within the last 3 or 4 years. And, I would hate to wonder what would happen in that city if they had really bad hockey to watch. I mean, their teams haven't been. Now, I'll give you credit; they haven't been like of the elite of the elite of the elite. But it's not like they've been fighting for last place every year for the last decade. They've had some pretty good hockey teams. In fact, this year, I mean, there's what are they, second in the Central Division? And yet they're still struggling.
Depending on the day. They have a very good team. Yeah.
They do. They do. So, maybe really, Rod, sometimes what it just boils down to is it's not a fun thing to talk about, but maybe it's one of those situations in that city where, yes, there's a percentage of people out there that are very, very extremely passionate about that team. I have no doubt. There just are not enough of them. Because if you've got one of the best teams in the National Hockey League, like you could make an argument, top one of the best 7, 8, 9 teams in the league, you're in the top, say, 25%, and you're still, even after the warning shots, you're still having a hard time getting people to come. I don't know what to say. I mean, what can you say? You can't
get blood from a stone. The money isn't there. As somebody wrote into rodpedersen.com this morning, said the team was bought for $170 million. $170 million. It's now valued at $700 million. And if you put it up for auction, it would go over $1 billion, like the Ottawa Senators. They've outgrown Winnipeg financially. That's that. So before we move on, from the audience, Patrolman Pete writes in and says, all of Winnipeg is bracing for the spanking we're about to receive from Uncle Gary. Reg in Winnipeg says, who is this guest? We introduced him off the top. Be here on time, Reg. I can't slow the show down for you because you showed up late. The poll question before we move on is for Key Auto Group, as always. Key Auto Group is driven by safety, experience, peace of mind. With our comprehensive multi-point inspections, visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. The question is, will the Jets be in Winnipeg in 10 years' time? And you might be surprised to know that it's about 50-50. On Twitter, I've got yes, no, or undecided, but slightly leading the way is yes, they'll still be there in 10 years. I think that's the hopeful faction. And on YouTube, the vote is strictly yes or no, and it's around 50-50. I'm going to vote no, but I called this several months ago, and people got very mad at me, and then Chipman came out and confirmed it. What are you voting, Kelly?
The number's 10? I'd be a little bit surprised.
Years, yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Comments are welcome. 902-518-3033. The Sober Carpenter text line. Sober Carpenter, non-alcoholic craft beers. Ask for them by name at your local beer, wine, and spirit store. Brewed in Montreal, served all over North America. NHL leftovers from last night. Bo Horvat scored his second overtime winner as the Dallas Stars against the Dallas Stars this year, giving the New York Islanders a 3-2 NHL win. Logan Stankoven had a goal and an assist for his first 2 NHL points in his second career game. Stars have lost 5 of 6. In Seattle, Kyler Yamamoto scored the only goal in a shootout, and Seattle overcame David Pasternak's hat trick to beat Boston 4-3. In Edmonton, Leon Draisaitl and Evan Bouchard each had a goal and a helper as the Oilers beat LA 4-2 to snap a 3-game skid. And in Washington, Hendrix Lapierre scored twice, and Washington inched closer to a playoff position by beating Ottawa 6-3. We haven't had the Silver Fox on Kelly Remple for a very long time. It feels like the Regina Grey Cup. So you people hear my NHL pontifications every day. I want to know yours. Who are your favorites? Who do you think will be in the Stanley Cup final? Who's a pretender? Kel, what do you think?
Well, we could have a longer conversation about these days. I'm really find myself really pulling for those Canadian teams more than ever. I don't know why. I never used to be like that. In my younger years, I couldn't care less. If I just wanted great hockey, it meant less about which teams were in. I just wanted to see good hockey. It's kind of the only league where I don't actually have a favorite team. But you didn't ask me that. You asked me who I think. There's always something about a team that totally underachieves in one playoff that makes them even that more dangerous the next. So I think just in lieu of how devastating a Boston Bruins loss was last year in the first round of the playoffs, where they go all the way to a Game 7 and they lose, I think that, they got a lot of those players back, right? So I got to think that they're not going to let that happen again. So I would say to you that if you're asking me which team I think has a chance to go a long way in the playoffs, I would take Boston. I don't know why, but I just and you know what? I'm not even sure they played their best hockey when they just did their Western Canadian run. I had the chance to watch most of the games against Calgary and Edmonton and Vancouver, and I wouldn't even say they were at their best. But there's just something about that team that I think come playoff time are going to be really dangerous. What I'm fascinated about is here we're talking about, let's look at the Leafs as an example. So the Toronto Maple Leafs, people are talking about, and for good reason, great hockey club. Look at the run they're on. Look at all the goals that Austin Matthews is scoring. There's not many more exciting teams in the league to watch. And yet they're at risk of not even having home ice in the first round of the playoffs. That's how competitive it is. We just talked about an unprecedented run of the Edmonton Oilers. What they fell one game short before losing to Vegas for the longest winning streak in the history of the franchise. And now we're talking about, are they going to be able to make enough saves to even get through a round of the playoffs? It's amazing, Rod. It can just change just like that. I would say Vancouver's probably
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's funny because you're one of the first to say Boston. Serena and I talk about it all the time. She says whenever people get talked about Stanley Cup favorites, they never say who the top 3 teams are. Boston, they never say. Vancouver sounded like you're about to. Right? And then the Rangers just had a 10-game winning streak snap the other night, and nobody really talks about them. So it's interesting you would bring them up. We're going to move fast, Kelly. We do have you, thankfully, for 40 minutes, but we're going to move on to this because I got to get the viewer questions into you, too. These are mine. Point 3, on Monday, in his Monday column, Peter King retired, the infamous Monday morning quarterback. Does anybody care? Do you care? But me, because you said before we went to air that with the NFL over, you've slipped into, I think you were facetiously saying you slipped into a mild depression because the NFL's over. Peter King, to me, was that guy. He was the media. To me, he was as big of an icon as Parcells, Belichick, Jerry Jones. He helped make those guys' stature, aside from their wins on Sunday. But I'm a career media guy. You really aren't. You're a career business guy. There's a difference. Were you hit as hard by Peter King's retirement as say I was, or people that read his column
No.
religiously?
No, I wouldn't have been as devastated as you were, Rod. But I will say this. One of the most brilliant writers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I love that guy. I think that, like, let's just scale it right back to the roots, okay? How many football people do you know that you've ever seen in your entire life, especially from the States? Because we always kind of feel like, and Chris Berman would be maybe the other close example of somebody that gives the CFL any respect, okay? Peter King, however many years ago you were calling games for the Riders at the time, he did a tour of CFL, watching the Canadian Football League, drove in a storm from Alberta all the way through Medicine Hat, stopped off in Medicine Hat at a local pub because he wanted to talk football with Canadian Football League fans. Sat at the game, I think they were playing the Hamilton Tiger Cats in a torrential downpour. And one of the comments that he made on his Monday morning commentary was that he said that there wouldn't be an NFL football stadium anywhere in the country except maybe, Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I think he might have mentioned another one or two that would ever have that many people still sitting in the stands watching it in that level of a downpour of rain than what they were in Regina, Saskatchewan. He did nothing but put over the CFL. He loved the game. You know this better than anybody. He would write, and then he would say, here's just completely random. Here's the best 10 concerts I ever went to. Rolling Stones at Gillette Field, and number 10. Number 9, Bruce Springsteen. Yes, Bruce Springsteen at Madison Square Garden, 1992. Like, he just had these amazing recollections that he documented everything. One of the great Peter King stories was talking about his daughter playing softball. And as a dad, what it meant to him waking up game day morning knowing his daughter was going to pitch in the championship game and how he was a nervous wreck. And I loved that stuff. I loved it.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. And so you did read his stuff. So you weren't hit hard by his retirement, but you read his stuff. Here's why I took it as a kick in the nuts. Because I followed him for so long and loved what he did. And what you're explaining is him putting his personality into his columns. And now all these kids are coming out of school, if they still have journalism school, and working for teams and newspapers and websites that are saying, don't put your personality in. Just put the scorers and the penalty minutes and the power plays. Don't put the personality in. I'm like, this guy's an icon for putting his personality in. And now all these editors and owners
would not want that.
Teams. And I don't want to go any further, but leagues, if you write a game story for the 3letters.com, don't put your opinion in who played good and who didn't. Just put in the quotes from the coaches and the players and the score by. Don't put any opinion in. And that's why I couldn't do it anymore, because these kids are just robots writing stories that a computer could spit out. In some cases, they are. And Peter was just one of those guys that put his personality into it. And now that's discouraged. Anyways, when we come back, for the Toronto fans, we'll talk some Blue Jays with Remps. The Raptors won again last night. Shohei Ohtani makes his spring training debut today. And, of course, we're going to talk some Dub Hub, because we got to do that with the Silver Fox here, which I looked at before we went to air. In French is Renard Argenté, the Silver Fox in French. We'll be right back on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, the RP Show continues. By the way, everybody, there are still tickets available for the Montana's Brier. I just checked, March 1st to the 10th at the Brand Center, and tickets starting as low as $24. We all talk about the skyrocketing cost of tickets at sporting events, not at the National Curling Championships. You can get in for as low as $24, depending on the draw and your seat. Go to curling.ca/tickets, and we're proud to partner with Curling Canada. As a matter of fact, Ben Hebert, affectionately nicknamed Meat, will be with us next hour to preview the Brier. Let's bring in the Silver Fox. Jim from Balgonie writes in. He says, that's why we love the RP Show. Personality and story time. Hello, Silver Fox. Signed, Jim in Balgonie. David in Winnipeg says, do you think the on-ice performance of the Jets will be affected by the current unsure future of the team in Winnipeg? That's got nothing to do with it. It all has to do with whether people can afford tickets or not. As Kelly said, if they were a bad team, the attendance would be even worse. Kelly, when did you find your first gray hair? Were you 12?
13.
You've been the Silver Fox for a long time. 13! Come on! Seriously.
No.
You remember the day?
I don't remember the day, but I remember I was in grade 8. I had these two little patches, sort of right there, and they got those little patches grew bigger and bigger. And then when I played high school football for the Riverview Royals back in Moose Jaw, I'm a South Hill boy. It actually grew to the point that I had a lot of gray hair references in high school.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
A garlic butter kid. Okay, thanks. Kelly and I about the same age, and we've known each other long. He's been great since I've known him. We were teens when I first met him. It's unbelievable. Anyways, moving on.
That was what, 1995, Rod? 1995.
Early, I think earlier than that, but. Moving on, I'm going to jam 3-1. The visiting Toronto Raptors won their third consecutive NBA game Monday night by knocking off the Indiana Pacers 131-22. R.J. Barrett led the Raps with 24 points. The Toronto Blue Jays beat the Pittsburgh Pirates 8-4 Monday, getting their first win of spring training. Brian Servant hit a 3-run homer and a 2-run double to lead the Jays offense. They take on the Detroit Tigers today. And Shohei Ohtani makes his spring training debut today with the Dodgers as the DH against the White Sox. L.A. has been taking it slowly with the two-way star who signed a record $700 million 10-year contract to play one way this year, all offense. Blue Jays. We've said it many times. Kelly, you're one of the more diehard fans I know, certainly in Western Canada. Our viewers are relatively pessimistic. They voted that the Jays will finish 4th or 5th in the poll last week of where you think the Jays will finish. What's your optimism or pessimism level of the Bluebirds here in spring training?
Well, they play in such a tough division. I mean, Baltimore is obviously going to be really good again. I can't imagine that the New York Yankees aren't going to be better than they were last year. I sort of think that they'll probably be around 3rd in the division, and they'll be fighting for wild card again. I don't see them winning the division, that's for sure. I think we'll be doing well if we can make the playoffs. A disappointing off season, Rod. You know, I don't know that they really addressed some of the things that they needed to address. And I think the more and more that you kind of think back, you go, maybe they should have offered Marcus Semien the contract that he wanted, because they just didn't. I don't know. There was something about that team last year. I know what the thinking was. We'll take away the jacket, enough goofing around in the clubhouse, and let's get guys that are a little bit more serious. But when you think about what they gave up to get Dalton Varsho, who granted is a great defensive player and one of those all business kind of guys. And I was one of the guys saying that they needed to be more business. But to give up Gurriel and Marino and all those guys that they gave up to make some of those moves, I mean, it was a disaster. And finally, Rod, finally, after all these years, they finally had the pitching, but they couldn't score any runs. They didn't hit any home runs. The slugging percentage was an embarrassment. So, you know, if they disappointed all of last year, and they kind of have the same group coming back again this year, but they're all a year older. Like George Springer, I don't think is going to be better now that he's a year older. I don't know. I like Bo Bichette, not a big Vladimir Guerrero guy. I mean, I like Vladdy, but I don't know. If that's the guy that's leading your team, if that's the leader of your team, are you ever going to win a World Series? Probably not.
Probably not. Jinx, you owe me a soda.
I hope I'm wrong.
Well, I did. Yeah, I didn't like losing Whit Merrifield or Matt Chapman, but Justin Turner is very intriguing, and they've got a team that's in the mix, right? They'll be fun to follow. At least we know that they've got a chance to make the playoffs, and for 20 years we didn't think they did. Ryan in upstate New York writes in, he says, it'll be a similar theme as 2023 for the Yankees. If Aaron Judge is hurt, they're toast. Darren, watching in Utah, says it's sad to think with the demise of newspapers and magazines, we will no longer get to read stories from guys like Peter King. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I was almost punched by a Winnipeg Jets fan last night over suggesting they could leave. That's how sensitive and frightening it's getting. I'm not sure if you're aware, Kelly, our number 2 city for viewership is Winnipeg, behind the city that you reside in right now, the Queen City. For a time last summer, Winnipeg was number 1. We got a lot of viewers in Winnipeg. And I think with the gravity of the situation and Gary Bettman coming in today, I'm hoping that maybe Winnipeg Sports Talk, our brethren, our digital brethren, will carry that live. I'm sure Hustler will be at the Bettman address. But getting angry isn't going to change anything. Not a damn thing. I don't know if it's come with age. You said earlier, now that you're older, you cheer for the Canadian NHL team. Something happens, Kelly, when we get older. I don't know why. And I'm seeing now with people, no matter how much of a fit you throw or stomping your feet, you're not going to change the situation that the Winnipeg can't afford the Jets. And don't be mad at us. If you want to be mad at the owners, I guess you can. How about that angle? That David Thompson's worth $45 billion. One of the owners of the Jets, but he won't sink the money into the team to keep them there no matter what. I mean, it's his money. He can do what he wants. Have you heard that angle? Because I've heard it a lot.
Well, there's two ways of looking at it, and I agree. That does make you shake your head a little bit. Like, if it means that much to you and you're a proud Canadian and you're one of the richest men, in the history of the country, like, really and truthfully, like, what's more important, that you're worth $43 billion instead of 42? Like, who cares, right? Like, just do the right thing, leave the team in the city. And so there's a voice in my head that understand that. And I understand why there would be the outrage. Okay. But how do you think he got to be a multi-billionaire? He got to be that way because he probably is a little bit greedy, and money is the most important thing in his life. So, you sort of can have one sometimes without the other. I mean, yes, there are some owners out there that, frankly, don't care if they lose money. They just want to win a championship, and it's a tax write-off for them and their empire of businesses, and they just want to win. There's other owners that the only thing they really care about, not that they don't care. I don't want to sound like the guy doesn't care whether they win. I'm sure he does. But his primary, concern is being profitable. And that's how you got to be a billionaire in the first place. It's not by making stupid business moves.
Or not losing his shirt. I mean, you and I have been around a lot of billionaire and multimillionaire owners in our time. And one said to me once, you could lose a lot of money fast owning a major league sports team. And so I don't care how much money you have. Some guys can't withstand these types of losses. So it's his money. He can do what he wants. Now, we got about 4 minutes left with you, Remps. I wanted to save a lot of time here for what yours and my real guilty pleasure is and our passion. And that's the Western Hockey League. And from our staff, Joe Gunnis writes in. Joe Gunnis, he says, it's Kelly Remple. Great to see you. He says, what are your thoughts on the Moose Jaw Warriors this season? I'll go one better. How about the entire Eastern Conference, Remps? What's your thoughts, your take?
Well, it's always great to hear from Joe 747 Gunnis. I'll just say that right off the hop. So what are my thoughts specifically on the Warriors? I honestly believe on paper that they have the best team that they've ever had in the history of the franchise, on paper. Now, we also know what that gets you in the playoffs if you don't come ready to compete. Nothing. Doesn't guarantee you a thing. I think the best team they've ever had, to be honest with you, never even got out of the second round of the playoffs. And that was in 2004, where Cam Ward basically single-handedly beat them. I think they graduated 11 players from that team that went on to play in the National Hockey League. Now think about that. Most teams are lucky to get one or two. They had 11 on that team, and they never even got to the third round of the playoffs. So just because you have Denton Matejchuk, just because you have Braden Yager, just because you have Jagger Furcus, just because you now traded for Matthew Savoy, all guys will be probably in the National Hockey League and the elite of the elite, all world juniors. The Warriors have twice had two players that played on Canada's world junior team. They've never had three. With the Savoy trade, they have four guys on one team that played on Canada's world junior team. So, I mean, what does that say, right? But that doesn't guarantee you anything. They still have to get it done when it really counts. So I'm going to reserve my comments until I see what they do when it really counts. Because I'll tell you what, Joe, the Saskatoon Blades also have a heck of a team. when you start looking down their roster and you look at Cedaroff and Wong and Minton, and now they got Alexander Sustilev, and I know that he's going to break out at some point. He's really struggled to hit the score sheet the way that they'd hoped when they traded for him at the deadline, but that's going to change. Eventually, he's going to get it figured out. They got Charlie Wright, gives you some sandpaper on the back, Molendijk. You know, those two teams would seem to be on a head-on collision for an Eastern Conference final. But how about the Swift Current Broncos since the Geeky trade and getting some guys healthy? I mean, whoever in a million years would have thought, you know, say 2 months ago or 3 months ago that we'd be having a conversation that the Swift Current Broncos could catch both the Medicine Hat Tigers and the Moose Jaw Warriors and end up finishing with the second most number of points in the conference. But that's what I'm not saying it will happen, but it could. So some crazy stuff going on. Medicine Hat's probably got the most dynamic and most purely exciting player in Gavin McKenna. I'm fascinated by the whole thing. I think you got four teams in the Eastern Conference that are all very good. The Tigers are just so young. I don't know that they're necessarily going to, I don't see them getting to an Eastern Conference final, but I think only because they're young. Next year, I certainly do. It's just not their time yet. And yet they're still winning their division and will be seeded number 2 in the first round anyway until they reseed in the second. So I think there's some fascinating matchups, Joe, coming up. But as far as the Moose Jaw Warriors go, I'm cautiously optimistic as a Moose Jaw guy. But, you know, I've also, Rod, you would be the one, I mean, I should be asking you this. You know more than anybody. How many times over the years in junior hockey have we saw a team that absolutely tore it up in the regular season? Well, it happens at all levels, but especially in junior hockey when you're dealing with teenagers, and it just, for some reason, for whatever reason, it does not translate in the playoffs when it gets really, really, really hard. So I think they got a good chance to be the best team that they've had, but who knows? I mean, on paper, I'm not sure the 2006 team would even be in the top 4 or 5, and yet they went all the way the first time they've ever been to a WHL final.
Yeah.
So anything can happen.
All those NHL President's Trophy winning teams come to mind that were jinxed by winning the regular season. That's just proof that the playoffs.
San Jose Sharks.
But Kelly, we are out of time. Sharks, Bruins last year, you name it. Kelly, thanks for this. We got everything covered. Let the good times roll, mate.
Ship ahoy, my friend.
All right, the Silver Fox, Kelly Remple. Speaking of great friends, Garrick Jones joins us next from Houston, Texas. We are live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Did you know that you can help save life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, we're back at it, everybody. And a reminder, when we talk hockey, it's brought to you by Common Crown Brewing out of Calgary. A commitment to connection and celebration of uniqueness. Visit commoncrown.ca. Our next guest is a good friend of mine, and I would read you off his football resume, off his Wikipedia, but the show is only 2 hours. Let's bring in the great Garrick Jones. I'll save you all time. He played for everybody in the CFL. And primarily in the NFL with the Houston Texans, where he's the president of the Texans alumni, Houston chapter. And he's with us today from Houston, it looks like, at home. What's going on, Commish?
Man, trying to make it happen.
Okay, Garrick. Hey, you're making all this noise, and I'm intrigued. And we've had you on before to talk about what's going on. You bring an ownership group together looking for pro football ownership, and you've taken the baton even way further down this race. So can you give us an update of what is going on with you and your crew?
Well, right now, we're in the thick of things. We're right in the middle of everything that's going on with the league. Had the opportunity to talk with the consultant company that the Edmonton Eskimos are using. And have a lot of traction with them. So it's really good, man. Now it's just time to galvanize the fans and get them excited about what we're trying to do and try to bring this thing home, man, and land this plane, brother.
Well, so tell me, so you got an ownership group together, and I'm following it, but not as closely. I mean, you're in it. So they're basically taking bids. Is that the case, to be the first private owner ever of the Edmonton Elks football team? And you're in the mix? You've thrown your hat into the ring, I think is the term, or something like that? Is that where you're at?
Yeah, pretty much right now. Right now, we're just kind of going through the preliminary paperwork as far as non-disclosures and all those things like that. But, you know, they're really looking at it. And at this particular point, it's up to us to make the strongest proposal and presentation. So that way we would be able to, possibly take Edmonton to a private, new world, if you will, in reference to ownership, which is really cool, man, because we get a chance to unveil a lot of what we're doing in that community-based aspect too, as well. So I'm excited, man.
Well, assuming the funding's all in place, which you assured me it is the last time we talked, why should they award the franchise to your group?
Because it's about the fans, man. We got to bring the fans back. This isn't just a transactional type of situation. This is a bunch of players that have a vested interest in the team as well as the city. So it's family. And this is personal, man. This is something that, we're looking to really set the precedent in the CFL and do what we need to do. This isn't just a big oil and gas tycoon coming in and this is a trophy for him. Now, this is life for us. So that's why we will stand head and shoulders above any group that they bring to the table.
So where are you at and what's next, Garrick?
So right now we're just essentially going back and forth with the consulting company, just trying to make that work, getting the information from them. And then once they let us know what they need next, after we get financials and check those out, we'll submit our bid. But we're just putting the presentation together, finalizing a lot of those things. And then from there, we're just in a good spot, man. So right now it's just really getting with the fans, man, and just bringing them into the mix and just, having that engagement with them beforehand.
I facetiously say that he played for everybody in the CFL. He didn't, but it was the Prairie teams except Sask. It's ironic to me that the guys that I've got to be the closest with since I got out of the CFL were never with the Rough Riders. They were with the other teams. But he played in Winnipeg, he played in Calgary, and then Edmonton 08-09. So that's why when he says it's personal, it's family, that's why. But Garrick also played in Jacksonville, Houston, as I mentioned, Atlanta, Dirty Birds, Kansas City Chiefs. So I know that you've divulged on some of your social media channels who is in your group. But for those that aren't on social media or haven't heard, there's some names in there. What can you say about this gang of Cowboys that you've brought together?
Oh man, these are teammates, man. These are my guys, man. These are guys who stepped up and said they would be willing to be on this journey with me because a lot of times a lot of people don't want to be the first person in. So that's like investors, that's like anybody, right? So I pretty much sought after individuals who said, hey, we see it. We want to be a part of it. But Calvin McCarty is a name. Fred Stamps. You got Adam Rita, Damon Allen, Nick Lewis. You got a lot of guys. Dan Comiskey. That's my old line buddy. So we go way back when it comes down to this. But Tad Cornegay and a few other guys, man. And there's guys that are calling on a daily basis that want to be a part of this thing. And we're going to have some surprises when it comes down to a lot of these guys we're going to bring to the table. A lot of guys who hadn't been connected to the city in a long time. We're going to bring them back, and we're going to have a good time with it, reconnecting the fans and re-engaging the fans and just bringing them out, man, because we got to open the upper bowl back up, man. This I don't know anything about that, man, as far as the fans not being there, so we got to get them back.
Well, I almost wonder why everybody, until you, is afraid to say it. Eddie Steele has brushed on it, but not said it to the degree that you have, that what's gone on with that franchise hurts. Really, since 2015, when they won the Grey Cup under Jones, they've been downhill ever since. At least somebody's saying it. You know what I mean? It's like it was this big secret that nobody wanted to talk about, how it's just been allowed to rot and die. And somebody told me last week, if this had been privately owned, it would have folded by now. I guess my question to you is, why? Well, you said it's family, it's this, it's that. But really, Garrick, why do you want to? Because you know it's not going to be easy.
Anything that's easy isn't worth having. You can go back to my resume and check the receipts, man. That's odds mean nothing to me, right? So that's the mentality, that's the culture that we'll bring to the table. I don't want it if it's easy. And again, the guys that I have, and the young ladies that we're bringing to the table, we don't want easy. We want the work. We want discomfort. It's like being in the gym. If you're in there and you're not uncomfortable, you're in the way. I need that machine. I'm here to grow, and we're here to grow the city. The city deserves it. Just watching them go through it, and you get a chance to see the fans and their outtake on it is them not showing up, right? They don't believe in that process anymore. They don't believe in what's going on there. So we want to come in and we want to change that, and we want to turn this thing into what it really needs to be. And that's the long and skinny of it. When it comes down to, losing money and those types of things, if you do it the right way, money won't be a problem when it comes down to being in profits with the organization. But then you want to bring other innovations to the table. You want to bring things to the table that the actual fans in the city can get behind, and then at the same time be excited about. So, yeah, I don't want it if it's easy, man. I'm the last person for that.
I know. I know it's too prevalent in sports now because I see it in front of my own eyes because they're not putting the work in so many places. And I know what it's going to take to bring Edmonton back, and I know that you're the guy to lead that. But, Garrick, we are out of time, but thank you for the update. You know if there's anything you need, where to find us, right? These tools are at the ready for you. You just let us know.
Man, absolutely. No. Yeah, I will do that, brother. We'll be ready to make history here pretty soon. I promise you that, Doc.
All right, Commish. Good luck. Keep in touch.
Yes, sir.
The great Garrick Jones checking in from Houston. It's a very interesting story to follow. And give him a follow on social media, too, because he's updating us all on there pretty much daily basis. We'll be right back with a sports update and audience takeover in a moment. Ben Hebert coming up in hour 2. We're live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy. Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, everybody. I don't know if we're going to have Moose or not. He is in high-level meetings with Game Plus executives today and more, but I don't want to say more. Whoop. So it may be just you and me next hour, or Moose may be with us. I'm not sure. Corey in Winnipeg writes in, he says, Rod, that shirt is popping. I know, right? This is from our friends at Whole Life, Florida clothing brand. They did a run of shirts before. They've done a new run. This is supposed to be Kansas City Chiefs colors. I have a 49ers RP show shirt, their colors. I have a Cats and Bolts podcast shirt that they did. Serena will probably, when my back is turned, light this on fire because she said it's too much like the Calgary Flames. And I have thoughts on the Flames that I'll get to next hour. So if there's no Moose, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Glenn in Medicine Hat regarding the Winnipeg Jets. Going to get a stern talking to from Gary Bettman or their fans later today. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes that he says, would the same Manitoba hockey fans who expect a wealthy ownership group to continue losing money be receptive to their well-funded NDP government chipping in to help out? LOL. Regarding making money or winning championships. Winning championships or making money. The chicken and the egg that's sports. Paul in Humboldt writes in and he says, it's Harold Ballard's legacy. Profits are the goal, not cups. We got a lot of stuff going on here, and it's all good. Rick, oh, yeah, but we're running out of time. That's not good. Rick at Edmonton says, yes, I hope they change the team name back. Eskimos all the way. Wayne in BC says, I sure hope Garrick is successful. It would be great to have the Eskimos back. A quick sports update. Ah, man, there were texts I wanted to get to, but we've run out of time. They'll have to carry over into next hour. The Toronto Maple Leafs aim to extend their winning streak to 8 games when they entertain the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. Vegas enters the game on a 3-game slide. Also, Montreal hosts Arizona, and Ottawa visits Nashville. There's 12 in all. NBA All-Star Scotty Barnes had 21 points, 12 rebounds, and 12 assists for his 4th triple-double of the season. And the visiting Toronto Raptors beat the Indiana Pacers 130-122 on Monday night. Spicy P had 27 against his former team. Sports updates brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. And for Landmark Cinemas, in theaters now, Argyle. I walked out of it, but you might like it better. An introverted spy novelist is drawn into the activities of a sinister underground syndicate starring Samuel L. Jackson, Bryan Cranston, and John Cena. It's in Landmark Cinemas now. Argyle. Check it out. Tell me what you think. Hour 2 is coming up right after this brief pause on Game Plus TV and Key Radio.
At the Key Auto Group Pre-Owned Division, we're bringing back that new car feeling. No matter what, it's new to you and priced just right. No hidden fees, prices you can trust, an upfront buying experience. And it's all at keyautogroup.ca.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Who is the greatest USA player of all time? And is it subjective? But I said Modano is the all-time best U.S. player. The voters are saying Kane. I threw Chelios in there ahead of Jeremy Roenick, even though Chelios is nowhere near the top 10 or 20 for points, but he's a defenseman. And then other. For me, it's Modano. He's the best U.S. player of all time. Best hockey player, period.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it certainly is. Thank you, Rick Regan, and welcome inside, everybody. Your favorite daytime sports talk show. We are live on the Game Plus TV network. That's live across all of Canada and 31 U.S. states. I still love getting the U.S. viewer mail. And the one thing about this show is it's just something different from what you see and hear on all the other channels. We're also on the radio in Atlanta. And by the way, Ryan O Radio, we got a lot of feedback on the list of names that our WQEE listeners brought forward for the Atlanta NHL team. But I'm not saying it's going to be Winnipeg. I'm not saying Winnipeg's moving there. Let's bring the Moose in before we jump to all of your comments. Moose looks like you're in the lobby of Game Plus. What's happening? What's popping, man? What do you got going on?
Yeah, I'm actually not. I'm at the Bay Wellington Tower. And you'll know this a little more distinctly as being in the building of the Hockey Hall of Fame. So I'm about 30 steps away from the Hall of Fame, downtown Toronto. So you know where that is.
Well, say hey to our crew down there. Say hey to our boys. I thought it was on Front Street. Is it not on Front Street? Did they move it?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. It's on Front Street. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, good. Thanks for joining us. I hope the meeting went well with the Game Plus higher-ups, and we'll talk later. The last I heard, we were the number 3 rated show on Game Plus TV, and I want to be number 1. But there's not much we can do when we're behind Cash Cab and now Pickleball. How do you fight that? I don't even know. Unless you get a video camera and drive around Toronto in a cab, I'd watch that. Anyways, it's no laughing matter. And Darren, you know what it's like. You've missed all of hour 1. It was great, but I'm just gonna keep going. We can't look back. Don't look back. You're not going that way. Everybody's looking forward or ahead to Gary Bettman meeting with the Winnipeg media 2 hours prior to tonight's NHL game in Winnipeg between the Jets and the Blues. And then he'll meet with the fans later on. And he might get tarred and feathered at that fan event. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. But, Darren, we've had a lot of Winnipeg people chime in, write in, text in, write it in the streaming about tonight. Vince in Winnipeg says, if Gary Bettman stayed away, we would accuse him of ignoring us and letting us fail. He said, if we leverage Bettman and get another 1,000 season tickets sold to the corporate folks, then good on him and us. I guess that's the thing. What the Winnipeggers were telling me last hour, Darren, is that they're all just wondering what Bettman's going to say today. What do you think? Nobody knows. What do you think he's going to say?
I know. Talked about this a little bit yesterday. I think he's going to try and ease the mind of Winnipeggers. I think that's going to be his goal. And I think he's going to say, look, the NHL's not going to let Winnipeg leave so fast. We're going to work with True North Sports and Entertainment to find a solution to keep the team in Winnipeg. That's what I think he's going to say to the Winnipeg season ticket holders in the media today. That's my guess.
I strongly disagree, and that's because that's not Gary Bettman's way. That's not his way. You know, with last time he's in Calgary, I was there. He was like, get a new rink or your team's gone. Thanks. Gary's not really the, hey, here, let's have a seat and get you a cup of cocoa and pat your back and, no. Buy
Good
tickets
point.
or your team's gone. That's what most commissioners do. So before I get to the comments from the viewers, the poll question today for our friends at Key Auto Group is, do you think the Winnipeg Jets will be in Winnipeg 10 years from now? And the poll, as always, is brought to you by our good friends at Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. The results are these on Twitter. 56% say yes, they will be there in 10 years. 38% say no, they won't. And 6% say they're undecided either way whether the Jets will be there 10 years from now. But what I am saying is that it is must-see TV. There's no doubt. And everybody's following very closely what happens. James in Winnipeg says, who cares about Gary? I had season tickets for 5 years and saw the same thing from the Jets. It cost me too much for season tickets. And that's why they're in the predicament that we're in. This today is not going to be a therapy session for Winnipeggers and Jets fans. Certified recovery coach here, mental health and addiction. The situation is what it is. Deal with it. And if you want to get pissed off, fine. But it's not changing. It's real talk. B. Henderson in Winnipeg says, I'm going to the game tonight, and if I see Gary, I'll ask him, will he be commissioned 10 years from now? And then chug a $25 beer in his face. Well, at least you're not throwing it on him. At least you're not throwing it on him. Regarding us being number 3 in the ratings behind Cash Cab and Pickleball, Wayne in BC writes in and says, Cash Cab? Do they still make episodes of that show? No. That's what ticks me off. That's what I said. Reruns. Reruns are beating us.
They are developing new shows.
What?
The breaking news.
Oh, great.
Cash Cab is developing new episodes. Yeah. No, I just saw that they're developing.
More. Wonderful. Randy from Winnipeg says Cash Cab is all repeats and pickleball is ping pong on a bigger surface. And I know, that's what I said. Ryan O'Radio writes in and says, awesome to hear, Rod. Atlanta's NHL show, the RP show. He's saying not that the Jets are in this financial squalor, but that the listeners that responded to he asked the listeners, because he hosts the Radio Penitentiary, Ryan O'Radio, every morning, 6 to 10 a.m., right here on Key Radio, WQEE. He asked his listeners for a list of names. We went through them yesterday, and people really liked the list of names. There was no real clear winner, but maybe let's wait until there's an announcement that they are getting a team. And it would be really weird if the Winnipeg Jets moved back to Atlanta. But I would say at this point, we're not ruling anything out, Darren. Agree or not?
Stranger things have happened. And while that would seem just like a complete edit undo of history and just going back in time, I wouldn't rule anything out at this point, because everything has been so unpredictable that anything could happen.
It's like we're going back to COVID times. Remember that?
Oh.
You remember our former sales guy out of Calgary, Kevin Nemedi? He's probably watching right now. When I was sitting at his house in Airdrie, he was like, oh, COVID was such a great time. We had such a great time for our family. I'm like, you're sick. There's something wrong with your brain. COVID was one of the worst times in the history of the world, as far as I'm concerned. Anyways, people not really listening and probably never will listen, so that's okay. I got family that just discovered this show. Family I haven't heard from in 30 bloody years. Just discovered this show, and now they think this text line for Sober Carpenter is my personal line. So they're writing me outside the show hours, and I'm like, I've told you a million times, this number is only on for 2 hours. But then they watch the replay and think I'm live. 902-518-3033. That's a whole other thing. But Trevor in Red Deer has written in and says, have you seen the Adam Ruzicka video that got his contract terminated? Thoughts? I think it's very sad. And by the way, that quote last week when I said there are the team of NHL players that are in the player assistance program would beat any NHL All-Star team, that wasn't actually mine. That came from an NHL management person in the press box in Tampa last weekend. I just stole it because I know he wouldn't want to be quoted. In the case of Adam Ruzicka, he's not even going into the player assistance program. He played in Calgary, was waived there, signed in Arizona, and who knows if he was given the opportunity in Arizona to join the player assistance program or not. He's not. They just cut his ass because there was a video of him on his Instagram of him, it looked like, using a banned substance, a drug. And he gone. And all I'll say is that it's sad because I know for a fact in Calgary, that Adam Ruzicka was offered help. I know he was offered it, and he wasn't interested. So in the case of Calgary, they did the right thing. I don't know what happened in Arizona because I don't know those guys like I know the Flames guys. He's got a problem. He's got an issue. And by rights, legally, they got to ask him if he wants help or to go into the player assistance program. All I can think is that he refused it. Guess what drugs and alcohol do to your brain? They make you think incorrectly. They screw up your brain. Newsflash. But what are you going to do? If he says no, he says no. And now he doesn't have a job. So all I can say is it's sad. Did you see the video, Darren?
I did, and it is sad. That's a great way to put it. I don't know that I have a whole lot else to add other than it's sad, and you hope that at some point he finds his way and figures it out, because you can't have both in this situation. I often say, and is a good thing. I can do this and that, but you can't act like that or make those decisions and have an career. It's just not going to happen. So hope it works out for him in the end.
Well, people will, I'll say this and people won't hear it, or they'll hear it, but they won't listen to it, but they might somewhere down the line. Drugs and alcohol aside, if you make decisions, say things in the heat of an argument, or when you're under an extreme amount of stress, nobody cares. All they remember is what you said. And in a lot of cases, they'll never forget it and never move past it. So you really got to bite your tongue. There some big-time life lessons here. I mean, with the way kids are being raised these days, we talk about the old school way that I was raised. Kids these days get everything they want when they want it all the time. So I think there's a lot of people that are really going to have a tough time when the Winnipeg Jets leave town. But I want the Jets here. Good for you. You know what I mean? Like, and there's a lot of people that don't really understand. Like Bill in Brantford, not a dumb guy, watches this show every day. He writes it and says, how does Arizona survive with 4,600 fans every game? They have to be losing money. Signed Bill for Brantford. Of course they are. Of course, they don't have any sponsors. They don't. And they're not selling tickets, but their owner has more money than God. We covered this the other day. Why? It bothers me that everybody is saying, what about Arizona? What about Arizona? Who cares about Arizona? Their owner's not whining about leaving town or bitching about not being able to cover his bills. The Jets owners are. See, they're pushing me into moving on because they're never going to get it. When are they going to get it, Darren?
I know. It's tough, but that's the whataboutism. You talked about this yesterday, and again just now, the whataboutism. What about them? What about them? Well, you're right. We're not talking about them. We're talking about this situation. And because something's happening over there that could be happening here is cool. And I like that, we would like to be in that situation and not have people talking about us and, have an owner that's not complaining and all the rest, but you don't. There's a situation you're in, so you have to deal with the situation that you're in, not necessarily looking at somebody else's circumstances.
Yeah. Are you going back to Game Plus today, or are you done there? You're just hanging out.
I hope so.
Hall of Fame. You might.
I
go
hope
back?
I'm heading over there. Yeah.
Well, the reason is Paul in Humboldt says, Darren, tell the Game Plus folks that I found the RP show on their TV network, but switched to YouTube because they kept preempting it for other shows. Can you write that down? Do I need to text you that as a reminder to tell them that? I mean, thank you, Paul and Humboldt, for that. It reminds me of the wedding I was at this summer, sitting with my uncle. And I said, do you watch the show? He goes, well, I did watch your show. Big CFL fan. Apparently not the biggest fan of his nephew. I said, what do you mean you did? And he goes, well, they're always preempting it, so I don't watch it anymore. They're not always preempting it. Like maybe a couple of Fridays last summer. They're not always preempting it. But again, you're either going to want to watch or you're not. So, yeah, maybe we should just replays all the time. Seems to be working for Cash Cab. Which, by the way, they were filming a bar rescue in downtown Boca a couple of weeks ago. I was like, I took a team of security guards to tackle me. I wanted to go find John Taffer because I really want to meet John Taffer. And they were filming it. And I said to my guy, Benny, he produces the Cats and Bolts podcast. It was a block away from the studio where we do our Cats and Bolts podcast. And I said, Benny, what bar are they doing? Who's failing over there? And he goes, it's the one beside Hijinks. Hijinks Sports Bar. Wait, yeah. Okay, we're going to break.
Okay.
But I didn't take you around this area of downtown Boca. There's a sports bar called Hijinks with palm trees on the logo. But they got it spelled. It looks like Hunks. Hijinks Sports Bar. It looks like Hunks Sports Bar. I'm like, who the hell would want to go to a place called Hunks? Not me. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and he says, Bar Rescue, that show is still on? Yeah, there was a marathon on Paramount all weekend. Thanks for paying attention. The season premiere aired yesterday. We'll be right back. As you can see, everybody, we're in one. And in this break, I'm going to tally up our Bet Regal breakaway bets from yesterday, and we're going to play tonight. And it's going to take a while to play it, Moose, because there's 12 games, including your Leafs. Home to the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. That's the featured game of the night for me. We'll be right back. We are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. If you're talking about it, we're talking about it. The RP Show. And just before we bring the Moose in, maybe you're talking about the Brier, We've got Ben Hebert coming up from Team Botcher. They're one of the wild card teams in the Montana's Brier, coming up March 1st to the 10th in the Queen City. Listen, go to curling.ca now. They got some really cool things going on there, like a Brier countdown right now. 3 days, 6 hours, and 37 minutes until the opening draw. Get the hashtag going, hashtag Brier 2024, and tickets are still on sale now. You can be there to watch Saskatchewan versus Canada. $46 only. That's draw 3. Reclaw's performing opening night. Woohoo! It's the place to be. And the RP Show is going to be there broadcasting live. Okay, let's please bring in the Moose. As I say, if you're talking about it, we're talking about it. I'm all about that. And so before we turn our attention to tonight's NHL games, Darren, Buffalo Bill has written in, okay? And he says, greetings from +3 North Dakota. I assume he's meaning Celsius. He says, can the Jets stay in Winnipeg when they win the Stanley Cup? Or Jets move to Halifax, Quebec, or Saskatoon? How would you handle that? It's like, what aren't we getting? If the Jets move, which eventually they will, it'll be to a major American city that already has an arena ready to host them. Houston comes to mind. And Atlanta has one, but they're talking about building one. They're not going to Halifax, Quebec City, or Saskatoon. And no, it won't matter whether they win the Stanley Cup or not. You can't get blood from a stone. Here, I told you to respond, and then I did. But again, I'm getting annoyed that they're looking for conditions. They're looking for any possible way to make this not be the case. They're just building up for a disappointment.
Winning a Stanley Cup will maybe delay things, but unless you have those building blocks, that great foundation of revenues consistently, it's not a recipe for long-term success. And you're right. While we talk about Halifax and Saskatoon, I don't think those are on anybody's radar. Quebec City, maybe in Canada, but they're not ahead of Houston or now Utah or other markets, big markets that will want teams with stable ownership and lots of money and, a secure fan base and all the rest. So no, there's no need to go down the road of Halifax or Saskatoon at this point.
Good answer from Darren. It'll delay things. It will put money in their pocket. A long playoff run would do that for sure for the Winnipeg Jets, but it's not going to change the situation. Oh, I'm dying to hear more of what you heard in your meeting with the Game Plus officials and Anthem Sports. This isn't new. We've known for a while that we're number 3. We're the number 1 rated talk show. Does that help? On Game Plus. But we're number 3 behind Cash Cab and Pickleball. Trevor in Red Deer writes in and says, number 3 in the ratings, number 1 in our hearts. My guess is he doesn't watch those other shows. I don't know. Kirk in Toronto writes in and says, hi, Rod. 16-year-old reruns of Cash Cab? Wow. And those streetcars are no longer in use. And don't get me started on pickleball. Something has to change. I can't explain why Cash Cab's number 1. I feel like I'm stomping my feet. I don't know. Try and find an excuse. They've got the brand recognition. We all know what Cash Cab is. It's been around 16 years. We've only been around for 5, which, by the way, you missed this last hour. I was ripping around Glades Road, if you must know, in Goldie, my Jeep. And I got a text once I got to the Boca Center Mall from Claude Wickenheiser, the oldest of the Wickenheiser clan. Doug and Kurt played for the Pats. This is their older brother. And he was like, Rod, crazy question, but where are you? I just discovered your show on television. What's with the palm trees? I said, Claude, I'm in Florida. And we do this show here. And he goes, I just discovered it. It's a great show. I love it. I'm watching it every day. I said, we're in year 5, Claudio. You're 5. And your brother Kurt's been watching us for years. The text I got back was, where the hell have I been? LOL. So, you're 5. Are there people just discovering Cash Cab? I feel like no. But Claude Wickenheiser just found us. How about that?
This is a lot like Jay Onright, though, going on the Evening Sports Center and getting mad that Gino Retta's #1 with TSN That's Hockey on the ratings. It's pretty good, though. I love it.
Yeah.
That damn Gino Retta. People still watching that show?
Oh, I know. Hey, this is, by the way, the thing. I see people, they're just the people that are trying to trash me. For whatever reason, you escape all the hate. I don't know why. I need to find out what you're doing right.
Quick feet.
Because I see the people trashing me. Hey? What? Quick feet. Yeah. Well, they're saying he's on this obscure network, blah, blah. Like being on national television is in any way a bad thing. I'm actually happy to be on a good channel, Game Plus TV, with all these other great shows like Cash Cab and Pickleball. But remember when we started this, I said I'd be happy to be on the National Geographic Channel or Animal Planet. I don't care. Just put us on a national channel. And you did. Sitting here trying to trash us because of being on game. Really? Try harder. Find a better beak than that. Just one more from Kirk in Saskatoon. Oh, this is a different Kirk. He says on the Sober Carpenter text line, 902-518-3033, he says the city of Saskatoon has purchased land in the downtown area to build a new arena. Unless there is an NHL team coming, it's a waste of money that would be better spent elsewhere. And closing the window, thump, on any political talks and NHL to Saskatoon, because it ain't happening. It ain't ever happening. As Eric Tillman used to say about these things, because we used to hang out a lot.
Oh,
there's a better chance. I'm trying to clean this up. There's a better chance of John Lynch birthing a two-headed baby this afternoon than there is of the NHL coming to Saskatoon. He wouldn't say the NHL to Saskatoon. I'm saying that, but that was like a Tillman thing. There's a better chance of John Lynch birthing a two-headed baby this afternoon than this happening. Make that the meme, Darren. Write it down. Bet Regal breakaway bets. I'm watching a lot of hockey these days. I beat you again yesterday. Did you look up the did you look them up?
Tell me.
I was 2-2. You were 1-3. There were only 4 games. So,
how about that?
But a win is a win. A win is a win. They don't ask by how much. They ask how many. So, you're ready to play. 12 games tonight. Going to take us a little while. But it's fun. I was watching another show. Oh, NHL Network. You peasants in Canada don't get it. They do a very similar thing where they predict NHL games nightly. I think they stole it from us. Washington at Detroit tonight. Who wins straight up in your mind?
Red Wing.
I'm going to agree with you. They're going on a heater here. The Buffalo Sabres at the Florida Panthers tonight, a game which I will be attending.
I'll go with Florida.
×2. Arizona Coyotes at the Montreal Canadiens. Does the streak end tonight? I'll say yes. I'll vote for Arizona. You?
I'll go with Montreal tonight and take them to win.
Okay. Tampa Bay Lightning at the Philadelphia Flyers. Who you got?
This is a tough one for me. I'll go with Tampa.
Okay. I'm going to take Philly, but my heart's saying Tampa, but I'm going to say Philly. Just to be, go against the grain. Vegas Golden Knights at the Toronto Maple Leafs and a Stanley Cup preview. Who wins?
I think Vegas is actually going to win this game. They got kind of embarrassed at home to Toronto in their last meeting. I think they get some revenge here in Toronto.
I'll take the Buds. Carolina Hurricanes at the Minnesota Wild. Who wins?
Give me Carolina.
That's two of us. Approved. Ottawa Senators at the Nashville Predators.
You know what? I'm going to take Nashville at home in this one.
Me too. St. Louis Blues at the Winnipeg Jets.
Oh, boy. The Blues have been playing some good hockey. I'm actually going to go with St. Louis.
How about that? Okay. It's who do you hate more, Winnipeg? Gary Bettman or Darren DuPont? I'm taking the Jets.
That's hot.
Then I'll have my
Los
Winnipeg
Angeles
shirt on
Kings
tomorrow.
at the Calgary. LA Kings at the Calgary Flames.
Give me the Flames to keep rolling.
Me too. By the way, this is supposed to be Kansas City Chiefs colors. This is from the Florida clothing brand Whole Life. But if I turn my back, Serena will be burning it because she thought it was Calgary Flames. Just saying. Dallas Stars at the Colorado Avalanche.
Give me the Avs to win tonight.
Me too. Pittsburgh Penguins at the Vancouver Canucks.
I'll take the Canucks.
Me too. And lastly, it's New Jersey at San Jose.
Yeah, I think it's got to be the Devils tonight.
You know what? I'm going to take the Sharks. The Devils are struggling.
Nice.
That's the question. What's wrong? What's wrong with the Devils? We'll find out tonight. Okay, you're clear. Appreciate you jumping on. It's a lot of fun. Say hey to the crew at Game Plus for me, please.
You bet. Will do. Have a great rest of the day.
Benny Hebert coming in next. That's always good. We are live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss. But it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Brier Rep. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody. Curling's season of champions continues. Next up, the Montana's Brier, March 1st to the 10th in the Brandt Center in Regina. You can be there. The Rod Pedersen Show will be there. Curling.ca/tickets is the place to go to get yours. Very exciting Scotties, very exciting final. Rachel Holman winning her 4th national championship, beating Jennifer Jones. A lot of drama there. And who knows drama better than Ben Hebert, who joins us from Team Botcher today. I appreciate him always. No stranger to the program. How you doing, Benny boy? You're looking tight as usual.
Hey, Roddy. Yeah, I'm doing good. Ready to go. Ready to get back home. I'm excited.
Okay, you've been knowing for a long time you're going to be in this thing. Qualified early, coming in as one of the wild card teams. How do you like that versus coming in off the heater of winning your province? Man, that's going to be a big difference, I would think.
Yeah, I like it. I like the prep that we're going to have and the time that we're going to have to put in. We've had 5 good weeks of practice. You know, I'm not getting any younger, so having a little bit of less time on the ice to rest the old weapons, I'm feeling pretty good heading in and pretty fresh for the Brier. So, got lots of practice. You know, we've tried to simulate as many game situations as we could, but not really looking forward to getting home, getting to Regina, you know, putting on a show there, and hopefully we come out and play great. We've had a really good season, and hopefully we can keep the momentum going.
Well, let me ask you this. What are you expecting? This isn't your first Brier there, but different circumstances now. What are you expecting for an atmosphere in that joint?
Oh, it's going to be amazing. I mean, anytime you get to the mecca of curling in our country, anywhere really, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, you're going to get full barns. You're going to get passionate curling fans. I mean, you know as well as any how passionate the Regina sport fans are in Saskatchewan in general. When you look at the riders, you know, the Pats, the Blades, and, you know, curling is not much different there. You know, and I know Colton Flash's team, Mike McEwen, they're going to have a big supporting crowd behind them. They always get behind the green teams. But, you know, I'll have my little own Benny Hebert section of friends and family and buddies I went to school with, some curlers I grew up with there. So I'm looking forward to that. We're not going to get booed out of there. And, you know, a lot of Alberta people will probably be coming over to watch our team, and then obviously Cooey and Slachinsky, a few teams from Alberta. So it's going to be a wicked Brier. I think the final weekend's almost sold out, and I think I'm in the. I mean, I got a dash in front of my name currently with all the tickets I've had to snag for friends and family. So hopefully I get paid back on some of those. We'll see. I doubt it.
That's why I say I don't think the cheering section for Ben Hebert or Team Botcher will be small at all. You're being humble, Ben, which I never thought I would say. But the trash talking started. It started with Matt Dunstone, and I don't really think he was joking, man. Like, that's what I say the atmosphere, because he thinks people are going to be cheering for him, and there will be people cheering for him. Oh, yeah. They love Matt Dunstone. They love you. They love Catelyn Schneider. And, of course, Mike McEwen is the only one wearing green. Like, I feel like there's going to be a little bit of confusion amongst the fan base. I'm not joking.
Yeah, I think good storylines. I mean, obviously Matt playing in Saskatchewan for a couple of years, and but even just him being in Manitoba, you're going to get a good Manitoba contingent there, right? Cheering on for the Buffalo, so they'll have a good following. Yeah, I forgot. Like Catlin's there too, and he's from Regina, right? And then you always get Brad Gushu, who has a good following from being Team Canada the last few years. And so yeah, I'm expecting roars for a lot of the teams, but I'm just hoping we're there at the end of the week and have a chance to play in the big playoff games and show what we've been working on. We've had a great season, and kind of just going in under the radar. Gushu's the defending champ, home team, McEwen, and then obviously Cooey winning so many Briers. But we're just going to go and do our business and see if we can keep playing hot. So we'll see what happens.
Well, listen, save me some time so I don't have to go to Wikipedia. You've won how many Briers? 4?
4, yeah.
Or is it more?
No,
yeah,
I've only won
and
4.
a world. Okay, only won 4. And an Olympic gold. Here's my reason I ask. Because you're following the Scotties, obviously. Skylar Ackerman shoots out to a 3-0 start, and everybody's going crazy, and then hit the rocks. Sorry for the metaphor. What's the key to staying sharp all week and finishing strong and winning?
Yeah, I mean, it is a tough week. I mean, in my situations, I won a couple when I was real young, right? I was 24 and 25 when I won my first 2 Briers with Kevin Martin. So having a good veteran leader like him, and obviously a couple studs on my team with John Morris and Mark Kennedy, never hurts. So I was lucky to learn how to win early. And, I've had a lot of good chances since then. I know I've only won 4, but I've lost 3 finals, and a couple of them been right in the mix, could have easily won. And, I mean, it's tough. There's a lot of good teams. Everyone else on the other sheets are practicing too, and they're getting ready too, right? It's not a one-team show anytime you win. You look at the Scotties last week. You look at Carrie Anderson, 4-time defending champ. She locks out in the 6s, and she's an amazing team. Rachel put on a clinic. Jen's team, her young team, real good. And then Kate Cameron had a little bit of a Cinderella week. And yeah, it's just tough. You need consistency throughout the week. It's very rare one team that hasn't had a good season comes in and gets hot and wins the Scotties or the Brier. They're usually the top teams that have put in the work, and it's no fluke, no accident how they've had really good seasons. And it's not really different than any other sport, Roddy. You're going to get out of the sport what you put into it. Like I say, I'm pretty fortunate to be on a team that puts a lot into it. So I like our chances going in, but you got to play good. You got to take advantage of your opportunities. You need a few breaks, and it takes all that stuff. But Skylar, I was impressed with her team. I mean, it's good to see some new young talent come out of Saskatchewan. I think they're going to be around a long time, and there's not a lot of teams that go to the Scotties or the Brier and win when they're 21 or 22 years old. So it'll take some time. I know they're working with Pat Simmons and the national or the provincial program there in Saski, and if they get some good coaching and continue to work hard, maybe you'll see them climb the ladder at the Scotties the next few years. But yeah, they came out of the gates hot, and then I don't know if their expectation was higher or lower than what they did, but I was like, hey, I still love those jerseys.
I know. Well, maybe one day you'll wear one again. I don't know. But here's the thing. She's got the talent. And from the sense I got interviewing her, she's got the demeanor. So I think she'll be back. But just the last thing on the Scotties and maybe how it relates to the Brier. The final, Holman Jones. It's the heavyweights, man. That's what the country wants. That's what they always want, right? And that seems to be what it always ends up being in the championship final.
I mean, you get to the big games. It's just a different feeling out there. You've been there before. The top teams aren't scared to make the big shots, and they're not really scared to miss them. They prepare for that. They play in the Grand Slam tour. They've won Briers or Scotties before, and yeah, Jen is certainly no rookie to that. She played as good as I've ever seen Jen play. She was amazing, good young team. They work really, really hard. And Rachel's team, they're ready, man. They've been ferocious all year, and Rachel herself has been incredible. So they got a good chance to go to Worlds and represent us well and get a medal. And the Brier's not going to be any different. I mean, I don't see any crazy surprises out of the teams there that I don't know. Obviously, hoisting the trophy at the end of the week, I think the familiar faces are going to be there, but those familiar faces out of the top 6-7 teams, there's a lot of good teams there, and anybody could win, and you got to put it together on the final weekend. That's the way she goes.
Yeah, I don't think any final matchup would be a surprise to anybody. But I will say this, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this about Mike McEwen representing Sask. 3rd straight Brier, 3rd different province, which is pretty cool. He's making history by doing that. But he's got that pressure of the 1980 drought. We all know what it is. How would you deal with that? How tough is that going to be for him, do you think?
I don't even know if Mike knows about that. I mean, Mikey's only played out of Manitoba his whole life, and then I know Ontario last year. But no, I mean, Mike's a veteran. He's in his 40s, and I've played with Colton, great buddy of mine, and the teams that go from SAS now, they don't control the drought. They didn't control what happened 25 years ago or 30 years ago, whatever it may be now, 40. Oh my God, I forgot we're 2024, but no, they're just going to go there and play good. They've had a decent season. I expect them to go and play good. They'll have the crowd behind them, and obviously there's a little bit more pressure playing at home, but those guys for the most part are veterans, Colton and Mike, and they're gonna be tough. I don't really know what to say how they're gonna handle the pressure, and to be honest with you, I don't really care. I care less how they handle the pressure. How about that?
How about but you're a fan too, and you're from Saskatchewan, and you know the guy.
Yeah, I'm
right?
a fan.
He's a good guy, so.
I'm a curling fan, but I'm not a Team SAS fan next week. No chance. Zero chance.
Boo! No, I understand.
Spicy.
I understand, and of course he knows about it because he was on this show, and I asked him about it. He goes, I was born in 1980, so it's probably a good thing to not know, to not really know the fortunes of that province and the struggles at the Brier. Anyways, Betty, as you know, we're following very closely. I appreciate the time. Good luck there, sir. It's gonna be a riot.
Hey, buddy, thanks for having me on.
The great Ben Hebert, a Hall of Famer in waiting, getting ready for the Montana's Brier. And you can be there, curling.ca/tickets to be front and center. We'll be right back with overtime after this. Audience takeover and a sports update right after this on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
At the Key Auto Group Pre-Owned Division, we're bringing back that new car feeling. No matter what, it's new to you and priced just right. No hidden fees, prices you can trust, and upfront buying experience. And it's all at keyautogroup.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hi, Overtime is brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Can I call it Canada's hockey capital? Calgary? For sure, Western Canada's. What better place to go down and check out your stuff or work on your stuff? Overtime Hockey Lanes. Tell them Rod sent you. Ask for Randy and Michelle. They're at 28th Street Northeast, where skill and fun collide. Overtime Hockey Lanes. Well, the big story was an easy one today, a really easy one. And that is Gary Bettman meeting with the Winnipeg media a couple of hours before tonight's Jets-Blues game in Winnipeg, and then meeting with the fans. I'm sure somebody will be broadcasting it live. I will be at the Panthers and Buffalo Sabres tonight following it, maybe tuning it in. I'm guessing Winnipeg Sports Talk will be carrying it live. Glenn in Medicine Hat says it's hilarious how many Canadian hockey fans choose to rip on Bettman. Reality is he had a huge favorable influence on the process that kept the orders in Edmonton. Jets fans should hope he's in their corner. Randy from Winnipeg says, I just checked Game Plus shows. There's a Hockey News pregame show on Saturdays I have to check out. Should be better than Hockey Night in Canada. I don't know. Is it, guys? We'll all have to check it out. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, when will Darren DuPont be announced as the new voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders? Not happening. He can't afford the pay cut. Jeff, the Stamps fan. But thanks. Thanks for your interest. Kyle Holverson, who I believe is in the Queen City, says, can the Canucks sustain and make a run in the playoffs? Well, it seems like they've got all they need. Let's put it that way. The Vancouver Canucks. All they needed was a little bit of a change of attitude, it would seem. And yes, they did retool the blue line. Can they make a run? All you have to do is get in and then stay healthy. I'll say this before I read the sports update here. Everybody was very excited but worried last week with Matthew Tkachuk being hurt and Gustav Forsling, the two stars of this hockey team that were injured. What game was that? Either way, Tkachuk didn't play Saturday night against Washington. I think it was when they were in Buffalo they got hurt. Last Thursday. And people, so you can follow our Instagram page, Cats and Bolts. See how I've separated the Panthers and Lightning talk from this show? I've separated it. It's worked out really well. People were writing me, though, saying, I'm really worried about Tkachuk and Forsling. Have you heard? Or Gus and Chucky. And I'm like, if they're hurt, they might miss a game or two. In the case of Forsling, he played Saturday night and scored the overtime winner. Tkachuk didn't, but he's going to play tonight against Buffalo. It's like, my point is, if they're little injuries now, it's not that big a deal. It's when you get into the Stanley Cup final, like Tkachuk dealing with a broken sternum, that's when we should be worried. Not now. Look at Bedard. Breaks his jaw. He's out 8 weeks or whatever it ended up being. He's come back better than before. It allows the rest of the body to heal up. It's not that big of a deal to be hurt now. Why did I get on that tangent? I'm not sure. Other than staying healthy in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's not as important now. You just need to get in. There are 12 games in the NHL tonight. 6 Canadian teams in action. The Vancouver Canucks, ho, 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 host the injury-riddled Pittsburgh Penguins. The LA Kings visit the Calgary Flames. The Winnipeg Jets host the St. Louis Blues and Gary Bettman. The Ottawa Senators visit the Nashville Predators. Montreal entertains Arizona. And the Vegas Golden Knights visit the Toronto Maple Leafs. Minnesota hosts Toronto in the Lone Pro Women's Hockey League game tonight. Minnesota sits second in the 6-team league with 21 points, while Toronto's in third. There are 11 games in the association tonight, but the Toronto Raptors will not play until Wednesday when they host the Dallas Mavericks. Monday night, Scotty Barnes had 21 points as the Raptors beat the Indianapolis Pacers 130-122. Sports Update is for Landmark Cinemas, in theaters now. Anyone But You, the Valentine Encore. Don't miss all new bonus content starring Alexandra Shipp and Glenn Powell. Anyone But You is in Landmark Cinemas now. And Common Crown Brewing Company, when we talk hockey, it's brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. Turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. For a few moments left, not a lot. A minute and a half, Clark tells me. 902-518-3033. Hi, Pearl. Pearl writes in from Calgary, and she says, very much enjoy your show. Well, thank you, Pearl. I very much enjoy you writing in. We didn't do as much Flames talk today as I would have liked. But we've got lots of days to do that. The Flames are home to the LA Kings tonight. I feel like framing this. Pearl Stewart, very much enjoy your show. Very simple, very right to the point. Thank you, Pearl. Buffalo Bill writes in. He is in North Dakota. He says an Alberta Clipper cold snap minus 20 Celsius today, plus 8 on Thursday. Mother Nature's mood is bipolar. Hot damn. Well, I hope you all huddle up and stay safe. That's what I hope. And I think that's it. From Ryan in upstate New York says, have a great Tuesday, Rod Squad. Enjoy whichever sports you watch or don't watch. Brent in Wellington, Florida says, Rangers rookie Matt Rempe. Love him or hate him. Yeah, I didn't have time to get to that today. We were booked up. Thanks, Kelly Remple, Garrick Jones, Darren DuPont, Ben Hebert, and most of all, you people. See you tomorrow, noon Eastern.
Who has more fun than us?